We're good. We're good. Okay. May my words and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable to you, God. May God's words be spoken. So thanks for showing up. That's always a good thing. And on this last Sunday of the year, I think it's an opportunity for us to think and reflect on the past year, look forward to the new one, and, how do we sum up this year? Merriam-Webster's word for the year is polarization. So that's not too unfamiliar. But Oxford University Press's word of the year is brain rot. Brain rot. I think this is pretty scary words, to be honest with you. But it was a scary year. Once again, it was the hottest year on record, a little bit like Groundhog Day. The brutal wars in Gaza and Ukraine continued. Animals are under siege for extinction, and we can only imagine what warming oceans mean as the speed of climate change increases from arithmetic to geometric. We experienced locally the bomb cyclone. That was horrifying to see those, see the destruction and these huge trees and their root structures pulled up. And we're still piecing together or avoiding what happened in the national election and elections around the world. There is a lot of hate focused on outsiders, marginalized people, and generally a loss of trust. So, what a year. Now, my word of the year is inchoate. Oxford says it means confused or incoherent. Perhaps we can just sum up the year as messy. It describes situations or problems that are complicated, full of confusion, or maybe it's just me. Yet 5 days ago, we heard the really good news that Jesus is born and love knows our names. On Christmas Eve, Pastor Jen noted that shepherds were the first to hear the news of Jesus' birth. Shepherds are probably like the folks working third shift at Walmart. They're seemingly invisible in the cosmic power structure. However, Luke 2 says, in that region there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock by night, and then an angel of the Lord stood before them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, do not be afraid, for see, I am bringing you good news of great joy for all the people. And that's all of us, no matter who we are or where we are on life's journey. So I remember some Sundays ago when Lee was preaching, and you passed out these little pieces of paper. Mine said to not be anxious about anything. It's like fate, Like, thank you very much for that. I think it's true that many of us have been anxious, this year. And anxiety and depression, once the purview of adults, now afflicts youth in record numbers. 20% of youth ages 12 to 17 reported suffering from at least one major depressive episode. That's like 1 in 5. And in the past year, and 15% of youth in the U.S. have experienced this major episode with severe impairment, meaning it severely impacted their functioning at work, school, or home. We've gathered today to let it go, to let this year go, and bring in 2025 with hope and, dare I say, joy. The angel said, "Do not be afraid. I am bringing you great joy." In Isaiah 9, verses 2 through 3, the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived in a land of deep darkness, on them light has shined. I think we can embrace these words today. Whether we live in an inchoate time of brain rot or polarization or just plain messiness, we have seen a great light. And the light is shining, and our feet are being guided on the way of peace. How so? Where is the joy and where is the peace? Joy and peace are embedded in the 4 relationships that we set in motion in the founding of this church in 1990. Our pastor, Spencer Marsh, said, "Our vision is to tap the human capacity for converting our existence into life-giving purpose for ourselves, each other, the environment, and God. We see the full and complete life as being composed of these 4 basic relationships in balance." In the first relationship with ourselves, as we enter the new year, we can ask, what do I want more of? What do I want less of? For example, how will I make more time for prayer and meditation? How will I spend more time learning from nature? How will I prioritize being outside, just walking and breathing? We have to listen to ourselves and make time. And I heard yesterday that it has to be measurable goals, like I will meditate 1 minute a day, that kind of thing. Spending this grounding time enables us to envision what's possible in the new year and even what's impossible. In our relationship with ourselves, gratitude and self-compassion are so important. As each of us bring peace to ourselves, we bring this peace to those around us. This is the chain of compassionate resilience in troubled times. The Buddha says that when we breathe and practice this gratitude and self-compassion, peace and joy follow like a shadow that never leaves. Second, we have one another. We continually give one another sparks of joy in our relationships, our worship, our singing, our praying, meeting for justice, serving others, eating, celebrating the birth of babies, and even in game night. I also heard this week that dancing 4 times a week staves off dementia, so maybe we can all take up dancing. I love that. Joy cannot be packaged and metered. It's fleeting. We let it go, and it gets received. Community is everything. In community, we experience the energetic presence of the Holy Spirit and a quality of joy. In community, we dare to imagine great things that we cannot muster up the courage to do alone. Third, we have a precious relationship with the environment, God's creation. Our church's social justice team has chosen the environment as our focus in the coming year. And even though I've worked in the field of sustainability for nearly 30 years, I believe we have so much to learn and so much to do. A few weeks ago, spurred by our very own Lynn, I heard Robin Wall-Kimmerer, author of Braiding Sweetgrass and the Serviceberry, at Seattle Town Hall. She said, "I breathe in oxygen from the fir trees, and the trees breathe in carbon dioxide from me. We are all bound by covenant of reciprocity, plant breath for animal breath, winter and summer, predator and prey, grass and fire, night and day, living and dying. Water knows this, clouds know this. Soil and rocks know they are dancing in a continuous giveaway of making, unmaking, and making again the earth. Our elders say that ceremony is the way we can remember to remember. In the dance of the giveaway, remember that the earth is a gift that we must pass on, just as it came to us. When we forget, the dances we'll need will be for mourning, for the passing of polar bears, the silence of cranes, for the death of rivers, and the memory of snow. Robin reminds us that the truth of interdependence is freely given in this gift economy. This concept of reciprocity is very old, but is being heard anew in the exchange economy. Although we must continue to press for governmental regulatory change, we must also press for change in the economic system, both the reciprocity economy and the corporate economy. For example, we can insist on companies reporting their Scope 3 greenhouse gas emissions that include the entire life cycle of a product or service, including emissions from suppliers, customers, and other stakeholders in the value chain. California, Europe, and other regions are making progress with these requirements, and it changes what's fundamentally of value in a company. And we have that opportunity in Washington State, yay. Although Americans elected a president who has promised to abandon international climate accords, protect the fossil fuel industry, and eliminate federal support for the clean energy transition, we have a lot we can do. There is encouraging news. U.S. and international companies have made progress on reducing carbon emissions, and they're working with their suppliers to make products more sustainable. Not all of them, but many. And they're doing it through self-interest, so that's the good news. Renewable technologies like wind and solar are already cheaper than oil and gas in most scenarios, and they're a force that goes beyond politics, growing faster than even government targets. Renewables today offer the cheapest option to add new power plants in almost all countries around the world, and they're estimated to surpass coal by next year. It is the economy. ESG, environment, social governance, may be facing headwinds, and corporations may do a lot of bad things, but entrepreneurs and companies can innovate and they can do good, and we can reward them with our dollars. I recently read in Triple Pundit that in response to Palestinian farmers in the West Bank facing the impacts of climate change and the daily struggle of Israel's occupation, the Palestinian Farmers Union and the nonprofit Freedom for Palestine are planting olive tree farms across the territory. Have any of you heard about this? Cool. The program has created over 70 farms since it started, and each one is called Freedom Farm and hosts 250 trees. Native to Palestine, these olive trees live around 500 years, are drought resistant, and require little water. And the hope is that future generations of farmers will be connected not only to the land, but to their ancestors who planted the trees. So when they harvest something that belongs to older generations and becomes part of their culture. So could we plant and tend trees too? Steve is the one who coined the title of the sermon, Peace with the Earth. I look forward to this spiritual journey with you, Spirit of Peace, as we explore what does it mean to be at peace with the earth. And finally, in the fourth relationship with God, may we make room for the light to get through. May we go deeper in our spiritual practices where our mind, body, and heart become integrated as a sanctuary. May we invite new ways of listening to God and being formed by the Holy Spirit. May we know as we sit in darkness, our feet are guided in peace. And as we individually and as a church strive to live in balance in these four relationships, we don't know how far we're going to get in caring for people, for one another, and for restoring the earth and welcoming newcomers on this journey. But we can plant seeds and tend them in love and justice. Imagine the seeds planted and the dreaming by Pastor Spencer, Doris, and our founders of Spirit of Peace. Spencer did not get to see the unfolding. Sometimes we just plant seeds, and like Moses, we seek the promised land. So joy is a choice to see what is good today, and in the midst of all this splendid uncertainty, with undaunted hope and love. So as the year comes to a close, let us take time to celebrate the small joys that bring light to our lives, a kind word, a quiet moment, or the steady dedication of those around us. And no matter what, may we laugh out loud with joy. In closing, when I cannot sleep in the middle of the night, I often look at Facebook. I know this is part of our generation. I look at Facebook for warm, loving photos of golden retrievers, friends' travels, and family photos. And as serendipity would have it, as I was pondering the sermon, I chanced upon an entry from the Reverend Deborah Holland, a retired UCC pastor and my best friend for 50 years. She said that she found these words that she wrote in 1979 in her first year at seminary, and they echoed back through the years, and so I share them for the new year. I am a tiny warrior whose only armor is joy. It is the poison's antidote, the cripple's crutch, the orphan's home, the killer's absolution. Joy, necessarily spent, is heaven's balm. The cost, once counted, in human flesh, reflected again in the tiny Advent light. The battle rages on. I myself am weary and run dry, but I joined the fight, a vessel to be molded, melded, and emptied of joy, to be counted a giver of power unto resurrection. It is my call. It is my responsibility, my right, my privilege. I am a tiny warrior whose only weapon is joy. May it be so.